Hi, hello. Very often people ask me this question about which certification they should pursue. This is $1 million question. So there is no one single right answer. So if you really look at which are all the key certifications available in the market for project management. So we have this project management professional PMP by the Project Management Institute USA. That is the most popular certification uh, in the industry, that is a PMP. Then followed by we have Prince2, which is the projects in controlled environment uh, from the UK. So these two are good for the traditional project management styles like which follows the PDCA cycles. PDCA stands for plan, do, check and act. So these are the right ones for projects where the requirements are pretty clear and uh, there is no room for the technology is also well known to the team. So for these kind of projects, it's better to go for these rigid models like PMBOK and Prince2. So if you are from the field of construction, electrical, mechanical, plumbing, so like this hardcore engineering stuff, uh, it is better to go for PMP or Prince2 because so the requirements are pretty clear and the engineering discipline itself doesn't allow you a lot of change. So then it's better to go with PMP and Prince2. And out of this PMP and Prince2, which one you should pursue? It all depends on where you want to work. While the PMP is from the America, the Prince2 is from the British. So if you are working, if you're planning to work in UK that area, then maybe Prince2 will be very valid. But for the rest of the world, PMP is most popular. So if you're planning to work in US or rest of the world outside UK, then it is better to go for PMP. The cost of the certifications are pretty the same. So we spoke about now if you come about the heavy hardcore engineering domains like construction, mechanical, electrical, plumbing kind of scenario, please confidently please go with PMP or Prince2. Then comes projects like IT projects where the requirements are evolving, requirements are not very clear, and sometimes very often the technology is also very new to the team. So these projects are a kind of evolutionary in nature, or the rate of progressive elaboration is pretty high because the requirements are not that clear and the technology is also very new. Plus the engineering discipline is flexible, the domain, the IT domain itself is flexible for changing. So it's quite easy to add a functionality, remove some lines, add some lines, modify some lines, which is much easier than changing a concrete structure which is already laid out. So if you're coming from the IT kind of domain, then and especially if you are working on product development, the right thing is I'll say any of the agile methods. Uh, to understand this further, now agile is an umbrella under which we have multiple frameworks. So under agile we get as an example, this is not the complete list. So under agile we have Scrum, uh, XP, that is extreme programming. Then we have test driven development, that is TDD, RUP, n number of things are there. So out of this, the most common or the most popular one is Scrum. The Scrum is a set of management practices uh, which is easy to understand. So it is very simple. It has only things like we have a product backlog, which is nothing but a wish list of features. Uh, then we get into a sprint planning meeting where the product owner proposes a set of features, and the product owner, along with the development team, finalizes these features. Then we get the sprint backlog, and the team volunteers to do the sprint backlog and turns it into an increment of the product. So that is the backbone of Scrum. So the ceremonies are very simple: sprint planning, product backlog creation, sprint backlog creation, uh, sprint planning, sprinting, daily stand-up, which is nothing but the daily scrum, sprint review, and retrospectives. So these are just a handset of ceremonies, and the number of and the roles are again only three. We have the product owner, we have the scrum master, and we have the development team. So Scrum is very rich in management practices. So my advice is always start with Scrum, uh, and uh, and sometimes we get into in a slightly advanced state of Scrum. Let's say your product has 20 sprints, and maybe when you reach 10th sprint, you start breaking the code from the first sprint. Then maybe continuous integration is the solution. So this continuous integration, code refactoring, all these practices, actually pair programming, all these things come from extreme programming. So you start with Scrum, and at a slightly advanced state, maybe you can adapt or adopt the best practices from XP to take care of the lot of issues within the Scrum implementation. Because at certain times, management practices alone will not help. We need very strong engineering practices, which will help us improve productivity and the quality of code. So you start with Scrum and then get into XP, and at advanced stages, okay, we may get into TDD, test-driven development, and stuff like that. Again, coming back to certifications, which certification, if you're coming from the IT perspective, which certification one should pursue? I'll straight away say, as of now, it is better to go for a Scrum certification, and we have now two very popular streams of certification: the Certified Scrum Master (CSM), which is given by the Scrum Alliance, and we have the PSM, Professional Scrum Master, which is given by the Scrum.org. The Scrum Alliance was founded by Kenneth Scaber and Jeff Sutherland once upon a time, and then they moved out into Scrum. They founded Scrum. So the founders of Scrum offers this right now. The founders of Scrum offer PSM, Professional Scrum Master, which is a late starter, but still it has a lot of credibility because it is coming from the founders of Scrum. CSM has credibility because it has the advantage of the early starter advantage. So, but again, if you are operating on a shoestring budget, I'll always recommend PSM because PSM has two levels, PSM 1 and PSM 2. The PSM 1 is not expensive. The PSM 1, I think it's only $100. Whereas CSM, the Certified Scrum Master, is again cost you around 600, 700, $600 at least. So having one certification is better than having no certification. So maybe you start with PSM, Professional Scrum Master. And the certification process is very simple. You have to just take an online test. And if you clear it, that's it. Uh, the link for PSM certification is provided at the bottom of this video. You you look into the description part of this video. There I provided all the links which you can use for certification. Let me be very honest with you. At some point in time, we all realize that, at least I realize that, all these frameworks are complementary. Because if somebody is very technical, and if I make him a Scrum Master by giving him only a Scrum Master training, what can happen? Because this person may not know even the definition of stakeholders, forget about stakeholder management. And as a Scrum Master, one has to be really good in stakeholder management. That means one of the key responsibilities of a Scrum Master is to remove the impediments. So this impediment removal calls for immense stakeholder management capabilities, which is not addressed by the Scrum Guide. Whereas PMBOK, the project management body of knowledge, which is the basis for the PMP certification, has ample information about stakeholder management. And so is the case with risk management, because Scrum Guide doesn't talk much about risk management. Whereas if one has to be successful in a real life project management, risk management is key. So PIM, project management body of knowledge, which is the syllabus for PMP, talks about risk register, qualitative risk analysis, quantitative risk analysis, risk response planning and contingency planning, and risk burn down chart. So that is very handy when one becomes a Scrum Master. Plus, the Scrum Guide doesn't talk much about human resource management, whereas PMBOK gives you the basic knowledge required to be successful as a Scrum Master, because it talks about the stages of team development like forming, storming, norming, and performing, and the role of a servant leader, or how a manager, what should be the role of a manager when the team is really undergoing this forming, storming, norming, performing stages. So these two are complementary. So maybe I'll say, if you are coming from IT, straight away become a CSM or PSM. If you are hard pressed, if you value your money, I think you should go with PSM 1, and later on decide whether you should go for PSM 2 or whatever. So start with either PSM 1 and the next one, maybe a PMP certification will help, because these two things are slightly complementary. Maybe I may be the only person who will talk like this in the industry, but then I've gone through these two models in depth, because I teach PMP and I teach Scrum. So I see a lot of synergy between these two models. So whatever is left out or whatever is not covered in the Scrum Guide, the softer aspects of project management, that is taken care by the project management body of knowledge, where the Scrum Guide gives you complete details about the Scrum framework. To summarize, if you are coming from heavy duty project management, heavy duty domains like mechanical, electrical, plumbing, civil kind of thing, PMP is a good bet, because that is the most popular certification. And if you're working in the British territory, then okay, I think Prince 2 also will help. Because actually there is one-to-one mapping between these two models. You either have PMP or Prince 2, but if you're planning to work in the US, Canada kind of thing, PMP is better. And if you plan to work in UK based, that region, then okay, Prince 2 will help. I think PMP has a wider audience across the globe, so PMP is the first priority what I recommend, and then Prince 2. Once you have these two, or if you're coming from IT kind of background where requirements are highly volatile and the technology is very new, and the IT domain itself allows you continuous change, because engineering artifacts are not that rigid like construction. then you go with Scrum, Certified Scrum Master, or Professional Scrum Master certification. A PMP again may help you here because the PMP is a kind of Bible. The project management body of knowledge is a kind of Bible that will help you, that will complement, irrespective of whether you are in heavy duty project management or IT kind of project management. So PMP is a sure bet, and if you're an IT, go with PSM/CSM. This will take you forward. I hope this video added some value to you, and thank you very much, and I hope to come back with better videos soon. Thank you very much. Bye.